Welcome to the Living Connected podcast. I'm your host, Mallory Meyer, a multi-six-figure entrepreneur, founder of White Wolf Reiki, and a former corporate HR professional turned polyvagal-informed leadership and neuro coach, Reiki master, educator, and international speaker. In this podcast, we explore the intricate connection between our nervous system and our performance, productivity, and well-being. I'm here to guide organizations, leaders, and founders in enhancing performance, fostering a psychologically safe workplace, and building teams with high retention that thrive. Let's future-proof your business, raise team morale, and prevent burnout. Join me weekly as we tap into discussions around regulating the nervous system, rewiring the mind, and enhancing wealth and success, with a splash of my love for energy healing and magic woven in as well. Here's to choosing to live more connected. I personally find that there is something always so enchanting and so magical when we receive snow. And this just so happens to be an evening right now that I am recording this episode where we are receiving such a gorgeous first snowfall of the year. I'm also recording this on January 8th, and the code of today is 108, which is very, very symbolic too in the wholeness of our existence. Alongside not only dropping some magic in at the beginning of this episode before we really tap into a mind body approach that can get your body on board towards your goals this year, but I do just want to share a little bit more about some of the magic that's not only been happening for myself, but with clients and with the gift of Reiki as well. And call me biased, but being a Taurus sun and a Taurus rising, for any of my fellow Taurus signs out there, and I know that there are some other astrological signs that have encountered this, but with Jupiter in retrograde over the last 4 months, there has been some stagnant energy and some even maybe perhaps disconnection that you've been feeling. And this is really where, especially in embracing the beginning of this year, this energy within 2024, it really has already felt like such a different flavor of that expansion, of that growth, of just witnessing so much abundance, of starting to see Jupiter start to gleam its light out of retrograde. So I am no astrologer, but just knowing my little tidbits of what I still keep my pulse on for, especially my signs, that's just something I want to bring alongside this episode. Now, before we start to look forward into the goals that you want to set up for yourself this year, there are moments where I think it is so vital that we sometimes just don't necessarily take a pause to acknowledge where it's looking back and to really give our focus versus what's forward and what's towards us, but what has been behind us, and really starting to see how our compounding efforts and how everything that we have been giving our focus to has become the reality that we are sitting in here today. Because I know one of the biggest things that I have anchored into for my identity has been to choose this identity of being a confident, well spoken individual. And one of the modalities, and I should say two of the modalities that I really leaned into at the start of my journey, where that was my own limitation of preventing me from showing up because of my not only the fear of being seen, of being visible, of just other doubts and beliefs that I held on to, but more so than anything, even the way that I spoke was hypnotherapy and Reiki, which is why those are very foundational modalities that from day one with clients, they are infused, they are liberated to use and have the agency and the choice to discern which hypnotherapy and which, almost more so than anything, wants to become Reiki certified, of course, the modality to which would best serve them to realign with their intentions and to start to really reshape. And this is what I want to emphasize here, reshape their neuro programming, because we can't undo neuro wiring, but we can override it with new beliefs that are often opposite and even more powerful than our limiting beliefs. And this is really where, when we have the ability to not only lean into the subconscious and access that, bypass our critical faculty through hypnotherapy, but then also within Reiki and I really see Reiki being a tool of nervous system regulation. As with its energy, it brings forth such a calm and peaceful and loving guidance and healing. It can really reshape and reframe how you are experiencing elements and anything, relationships, circumstances in your life. And quite honestly, it's really been through the diligence, through the consistency, through the discipline of overriding my own neurowiring and neuroprogramming to instill new beliefs that I now get paid to make believe. It is with the power of belief that you can turn the seemingly impossible into the possible. And this is why I'm just so excited to share this episode with you today as well, to really get your body on board, like I said, with your goals. Have this mind body approach so you can feel so empowered and much more intentional about the creation of the goals that you are setting forth here. I'll also just make a short note that if you are tuning into this episode, the best way that you can really kind of bring this forward for you is in a place where you can actually perhaps even close down your eyes. So, sure, have me in your ears while you're walking, but you might want to come back and revisit this so you can really have a full experience with some of the questions that I'm going to bring forward for you to reflect upon. And so, just one last drop before we get into the full element here around the mind body approach with your goals is I want to bring a reminder in as we were just talking about Reiki that Reiki online certifications and online healing is still available with clients and for any new clients as well. The first quarter of Reiki online certifications are open for registration. We are holding level 1 on January 16th and 17th. February is level 2, and in March we have Reiki Mastery, which is going to be a 6-week cohort. This is becoming certified in Asui Holy Fire Reiki because it was such a catalyst and a foundation in my own not only awareness, awakening, healing. It's been so impactful in so many various ways, which I'm not going to bring into this episode today, but there is an episode that I did around Reiki. If you want to hear more about it, just go back to the beginning episodes. But I invite you to explore joining us for these online certifications. And again, because this is becoming certified in Holy Fire, you can receive, and because I have been certified in the distance symbol, collapsing time and space, the frequency is so much more effective, so much more potent than that of when you have the practitioner in the same room with you. That transference of energy isn't there. So there's that beautiful opportunity. Whereas if certification is not being called for you at this time, then I welcome you into the Homecoming Healing membership, where you receive a healing with me each and every month. Again, these details will be dropped in the show notes below. So take your time to explore and don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you may have via email or over on my DMs. I also so appreciate any review, any love that you want to send my way with rebuilding this podcast. It goes such a far way when you do take the time to leave a rating or leave a review and even to share episodes that really land with you. And full disclosure with today's episode as well, this is actually a previously recorded live that I had held within a special social media platform for a group. So I've taken that audio from my live and I'm sharing it here with you today because of the impact it had, while also just feeling again that nature of where we're at this time of year. So you can really, again, not just look at top down approaches but a bottom up and have that very cyclical flow. So I hope you enjoy it and I'll catch you at the end. What I want to first off say that we don't quite talk about when it comes to goal setting and building up these intentions to achieve them is it is a very top down process. We're in our minds a lot and creating from that energy. And today we're going to flip it on its head and go from the bottom up, really connect in to discover if this is in true alignment and feeling safe within our nervous system and our bodies to achieve, to hold, to sustain this, because that's what we ideally want. We don't just want a one hit wonder here. Yet it's very hard for us to also move towards our goals when our nervous system is in a survival mode. And at a higher level here, just to gently bring in, is when we are constantly scanning for cues, for threats of danger. Essentially, this is known as neuroception. This is really where we're expending a lot of our own energy, and it's challenging for us to move towards and resource ourselves for our goals when we are allocating that energy towards being in a state, that survival state of fight, flight, or even freeze. And change and success truly will really start to begin to happen when we allow our bodies to feel safe. So, this framework that we are talking about today, the mind body approach when setting intentions, really comes into asking ourselves, how is my nervous system? And this is why I love to bring in a greater understanding, a fluency, a language for clients to start to articulate that more clearly. What's happening in my nervous system right now? And when our nervous system, quote unquote, gets regulated, it comes into balance. What becomes available to us is greater levels of calmness, greater levels of connectivity, of social engagement, of curiosity, of innovation, problem solving, perseverance, like you name it, courage, clarity, self compassion. I'm not going to keep the list going, but we are going to switch it into how does this help us when framing our goals and to make them feel safe for our nervous system. So I invite you, if you are tuning in and you have the capacity, you feel safe to do so, to gently either close down your eyes or bring in a nice soft gaze, because we're going to have a little bit of introspection here as I'm speaking. So through this exercise, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to bring to your mind's eye that goal that you laid out coming into this live today. And just imagine you are trying to also move away, that you're trying to avoid something. And I want you to say internally, or maybe you have the space to say it out loud, say no. And just get curious. Start to notice when you say no, what's arising for you? How is it feeling, that word in your body? Now we're going to switch it up. And this time I want you to approach something moving towards it, that you want it, that you want to say yes, 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 yes to it. So in this experience, say yes. And again, start to notice, start to acknowledge what is happening in your body. Whether it is a piece of contraction, whether in the words themselves you just instinctively felt a sensation arise in your body. Just make a mental note of that, because I'm going to continue here and give you 4 other statements. And I just want you to bring that awareness within yourself and start to acknowledge how your body is responding to these statements, whether or not they are actually true for you. Just play along with me here. So I aspire to advance my professional skills and take on new challenges to climb the career ladder, to receive that promotion. I'm committed to avoiding complacency and stagnation by steering clear of tasks that don't contribute to my professional growth. I want to strengthen my relationships by actively listening, expressing appreciation, and spending quality time with loved ones. I aim to distance myself from negative influence and communicate patterns that end up straining my personal connections. So just taking a nice breath in, a conscious breath here, and bringing your awareness, bringing your energy back into this room, to this live. And if there's anything that you want to share from your experience in how you maybe just had this newfound awareness, I'm always open to receive just what came forward. Even if you're catching the replay, drop a comment, let me know, how did that language and those statements land in your body for your nervous system? Maybe there is something so ever so subtle that you just acknowledged in pieces of that language. And as you are taking this moment to just even draw that awareness again back into your conscious awareness, re-look at, and I invite you to do this, re-look at that goal that you brought here. How did you actually write that goal? So outside of the nervous system language that I love to talk about, I love to dive into, the other piece of this whole process we move along is really empowering your beliefs, or rewiring your mindset through subconscious modalities, but also starting to recognize, what is the language that I'm choosing to use myself? And is that away or is that towards? So an example would be some of the statements that I read to you were towards, whereas some were away. So it's either like, I want to stop. I'll use this example that I've heard from someone recently. Like, I want to stop emotionally reacting at the time and give myself more space to evaluate, to consider, and to empathize with individuals, or to an email. Then there's other things where I want to go towards something. And so often we also hear ones of, I want to get out of debt when it comes to opportunities, or I want to be able to invest in myself, you name it. But I just, again, bring these examples forward to get curious within your own language of, how did you frame your goal? Was it towards, or was it away? So simply, away again is when we are putting the language there of stopping, of really giving the attention to even I do not, or I won't continue on. It's simple. I don't need to elaborate on that. And then towards is, of course, aspiring, moving into strengthening, and very future oriented. So in doing so, recognizing now when you say that statement, how, for one, does that feel for your nervous system? When we go back to that yes, no little beginning of this exercise, and then additionally, just encouraging you at this point in time, because I want to be mindful of the time that we do have here together, is once we have anchored this in for yourselves and really starting to bring in that capacity, not only to be in a place of safety, to receive it, to work towards it, to help to resource yourself in a way that's not going to be depleting, but energizing. This is also where we get to witness pieces of meditation and visualization and mental rehearsal, as I was almost exhibiting with this whole live and bringing awareness into it. The mental rehearsal in itself and visualization is such a powerful tool. There's a practice called neural energetic encoding that we work on. So when you identify your goal, we place this on your neural timeline to be able to really feel into and get a felt sense of your own. This is so personalized for each individual, of what you can anticipate to feel in receiving this, and kind of reverse engineering that process from there. Because the more and more that we do that, the more familiarity we're building, the more predictability. And that's exactly what our nervous system loves, especially if we are working towards a goal that we have not yet attained. Because anything that is a new experience, our nervous system, the language that it speaks is, if it is not familiar with that new experience, it is sending the cue that this will kill me, that this is dangerous. So there are self-sabotaging patterns and behaviors that will unfold. So, like I said from the very beginning, this has just been such a pivotal and profound piece of my own journey, both being an entrepreneur and also being in leadership, to be able to help not only influence how I communicate, my productivity, the relationships for my own self, but also my relationships with others, and truly just having in that whole ability to create the lifestyle, to create the business that I've always dreamed of without sacrificing, compromising my boundaries, my well being, you name it. We are at time. So, as always, please feel free to share this with anyone that you may feel needs to hear this part of their journey in especially bringing in a prosperous 2024, one that feels very viable to reach their goals in, while also getting a good piece of clarity as to perhaps what needs to be addressed and going inwards. Because when we do begin to practice greater levels of proficiency to build out our own regulation for it within our nervous system, that's where we can really expand that ventral vagal energy. And we just have so many resources available to us. So thank you so much. I will be back next Monday for the series here that I've been holding, known as The Regulated Leader. And I will be sharing with you next week much more practical nervous system tools, of course, with one-to-one. This is an opportunity where it is completely customizable, I should say. I meet you where we're at in your journey towards the goals here that you want to bring forward, so we can really best assess the plan to bring forward. But also just want to give you a friendly reminder that much of my services and my work is about coming in and being a partner with organizations, with businesses, with CEOs, founders, to really bring in this new dialogue into reshaping the culture and going beyond just the normalcy of regular strategies and really making lasting change to increase retention. Coming from my HR background, that is oh so important, and saving you money. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. I am just celebrating you for taking that time, listening into the episode, and walking away with a very empowered goal or goals that you may be bringing forward. Please do keep them visible. As with anything, what we really give our focus to just comes in with such greater energy and intention with each and everything that we continue to do. So don't just tuck them away. I personally I have a very visual vision board on my desktop that really aligns to the goals that I've set. And that keeps me anchored into what it is that I'm calling in, that I am working towards in my journey of each and every day that I show up in my business. This now also being said, one reminder was as I was even listening back myself to this episode, the beauty of infusing Reiki with all of this is when you become level 2 certified, you get the placement to 3 specific symbols, that being the balance, the distance, and one of my favorite, the power symbols. And this is really where we see a lot of potent energy and the opportunity to infuse magic with our goals with that power symbol. And you really start to understand the how and the why behind that in level 2. So even if you are a SUI certified, you are welcome to join us in level 2. But of course, if you are someone here and ready to commit to enhancing your performance, your profit without compromising your well-being and really instilling a lot of burnout preventative neuroscience backed practices to help you also lead more effectively, you can schedule your one-to-one introductory call and hear a bit more about my one-to-one coaching services, alongside if you are someone who is seeking training and workshops within your organization for your team. I would absolutely love to chat with you to help each individual get a good foundational understanding about their nervous system, so we can bring in again that context, that communication, that fluency of being more compassionate with one another, and also helping to encourage each other to regulate our emotions, most importantly, to heal and also inspire and connect with so much greater authenticity. So, thank you so much for being here. You know where to find me. All the details are in the show notes, and I will be seeing you next week. Until then, stay regulated. Let me just take a moment to share something that has truly elevated my mornings and helped me start my day on a greater, calm, focused, even with a punch of veggies note. I've integrated Plant People gummies into my morning routine, and their products have become an essential part of my self care. What I really find sets Plant People apart is their commitment to quality and transparency. It's a natural and plant based approach to self care that aligns perfectly with my values. But the greatest part about it is whether it's been a tea, a gummy, or even their spreads, they don't compromise on taste. So, who doesn't like treating yourself to a moment of indulgence while nourishing your well being? And I do have something special for you, the listeners here. Plant People is offering an exclusive discount. You can use the code MALMEYER, and I should say it's mal.meyer at checkout to enjoy 15% off your order. You won't want to miss this opportunity, and you can find those full details in the link in the show notes below.